Nafisa Collier didn't just embarrass herself on live television. She exposed something far bigger, a conflict of interest so severe that it threatens the most successful era the WNBA has ever seen. It started with confidence. Collier sat calmly in her chair, speaking with authority, explaining why the WNBA should take lessons from a newer league, a league she described as more progressive, more player-friendly, and more sustainable. That league is unrivaled. What she didn't initially emphasize is the most important detail of all. Nafisa Collier isn't just commenting from the outside. She is a co-founder of Unrivaled. And if the WNBA weakens, struggles, or collapses, her business stands to profit enormously. That's not opinion. That's incentive. And as the interview unfolded, the numbers destroyed her entire argument in real time. While Collier talked about innovation and player experience, the reality painted a brutal contrast. Caitlin Clark had just delivered the most explosive surge in women's basketball history. Attendance records shattered. Television ratings soared to levels the league had never touched before. Merchandise sales skyrocketed. Entire arenas sold out night after night. Meanwhile, Unrivaled was playing games in a single gym with a few hundred spectators. That's when the interview stopped being informative and became uncomfortable. The host calmly introduced viewership data. Clark's games were pulling over 1 million viewers consistently. Her playoff series against Connecticut crossed the 2 million mark on national television. Entire networks adjusted programming schedules around her games. Unrivaled? A few thousand viewers on live streams. Collier hesitated. Her voice softened. Her words became vague. She pivoted to phrases like long-term vision and quality over quantity. But she couldn't answer the most basic question of all. If your model is better, why is nobody watching? The tension escalated when the host pressed further. How could a league with minimal attendance and negligible ratings possibly be held up as a blueprint for the WNBA? Collier attempted to redirect the conversation. She argued that veteran players had built the foundation for the league's recent popularity. That stars like herself laid the groundwork long before Caitlin Clark ever stepped on a professional court. That's when the interview took a decisive turn. The host didn't let it slide. He pointed out what millions of fans already knew. The WNBA had existed for over 2 decades. During that time, mainstream relevance remained limited. Ratings were stagnant. Attendance was inconsistent. Media coverage was sparse. Then Caitlin Clark arrived, and everything changed. College basketball audiences exploded. March Madness games featuring Clark outperformed men's matchups. When she entered the WNBA, sold-out crowds followed her to cities she had never played in. Teams moved games to larger arenas just to meet demand. Fever jerseys became cultural symbols, worn by fans who had never watched a WNBA game before. That kind of impact doesn't come from legacy. It comes from transformation. Collier's claim unraveled under the weight of reality. But the most alarming part of the interview hadn't even been addressed yet. Nafisa Collier isn't just a business owner criticizing the WNBA. She also serves as vice president of the WNBA Players Association. That means she is supposed to represent the best interests of every player in the league. At the same time, she owns a competing league that would benefit directly if the WNBA suffers financially, structurally, or publicly. That's not advocacy. That's divided loyalty. The host asked the obvious question. How can someone negotiate against the league on behalf of players while simultaneously running a business designed to replace it? Collier deflected. She talked about empowerment. She talked about player welfare. She talked about changing the system. But she never answered the core ethical dilemma. You cannot sit on both sides of the table. When collective bargaining negotiations take place, every demand placed on the WNBA impacts its financial stability. Push too far, and teams begin losing money. Investors hesitate. Expansion slows. Revenue shrinks. And if that happens, there's only one alternative left standing. Unrivaled. Collier has been advocating for massive salary cap increases that exceed the league's current revenue model. Negotiations have already been extended multiple times because the math simply doesn't work. The WNBA generates income through media rights, sponsorships, and ticket sales. If player compensation grows faster than revenue, the system collapses. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If the WNBA collapses, Unrivaled doesn't just survive, it absorbs. Players without contracts, sponsors looking for placement, fans searching for continuity. All roads lead directly to Collier's business. This is why her public criticism of Commissioner Cathy Engelbert matters so much. Collier has repeatedly questioned Engelbert's leadership in interviews and social media posts. She frames these attacks as concern for the league's future, but the effect is always the same. Undermine confidence, create instability, erode trust. Every headline suggesting dysfunction inside the WNBA makes Unrivaled look like a safer alternative. From a business standpoint, it's clever. From an ethical standpoint, it's alarming. Collier doesn't need Unrivaled to succeed on its own merits. She just needs the WNBA to look broken. That strategy became even more apparent during the league's biggest growth moment ever. Caitlin Clark didn't just bring new fans, she brought a cultural shift. Families started attending games together. Kids wore jerseys to school. Casual sports fans began following women's basketball for the first time. This was the moment to unify, to stabilize, to build. Instead, Collier chose chaos. She criticized leadership. She escalated union demands. She publicly questioned league decisions during what should have been a victory lap for women's basketball. Commissioner Engelbert eventually fought back. She publicly contradicted Collier's version of private negotiations and accused the union of spreading misinformation. Press conferences turned confrontational. Accusations flew in both directions. The relationship between league leadership and the players' union deteriorated rapidly, and the public watched it unfold. Media outlets amplified every quote. Social platforms exploded with debate. Fans began choosing sides. And again, only one entity benefited from the disorder: Unrivaled. Players like Sophie Cunningham found themselves trapped in the middle. They want higher pay. They want better conditions. But they also understand what's at stake. A lockout would be catastrophic. The 2026 season hangs in the balance. A work stoppage would erase momentum overnight. New